Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Cinderella. She resided in a quaint cottage with her loving parents, who doted on her endlessly. Cinderella's childhood was filled with laughter and joy, spent exploring the woods and helping her parents tend to their garden. However, tragedy struck when Cinderella's mother fell gravely ill. Despite their efforts, her mother passed away, leaving Cinderella and her father devastated. Overwhelmed by grief and loneliness, Cinderella's father eventually remarried a woman who had two daughters of her own. Little did Cinderella know that her idyllic life was about to take a drastic turn. Cinderella's stepmother, adorned with a facade of kindness, quickly revealed her true colors. Along with her daughters, Anastasia and Rosella, she treated Cinderella as little more than a servant in her own home. Cinderella was relegated to the lowliest chores, while her stepsisters lounged around in luxury, their laughter ringing through the halls. Despite the cruelty she endured, Cinderella remained resilient and kind-hearted, finding solace in the company of the creatures of the forest. The birds would sing sweet melodies to her, and the mice would scurry around her feet, offering what comfort they could. One fateful day, an invitation arrived at their doorstep, an invitation to a grand ball hosted by the prince himself. Every eligible maiden in the kingdom was invited, as the prince sought a bride to share his throne. Cinderella's heart swelled with excitement at the thought of attending such a magnificent event, but her stepmother had other plans. With envy burning in her heart, Cinderella's stepmother forbade her from attending the ball, knowing full well that her stepdaughter's presence would outshine her own daughter's. Heartbroken and dejected, Cinderella retreated to the garden, where she wept beneath the twinkling stars. But just when all hope seemed lost, a shimmering figure appeared before her. It was her fairy godmother, her presence radiating warmth and magic. With a wave of her wand and a sprinkle of stardust, Cinderella's rags transformed into the most exquisite gown, shimmering like the stars above. A pumpkin from the garden was enchanted into a magnificent carriage, and mice scurried forth to become majestic horses, ready to whisk Cinderella away to the ball. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Cinderella stepped into the carriage and set off towards the palace, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she arrived at the ball, she was greeted by a dazzling spectacle of lights and music. The prince, upon catching sight of her, was immediately captivated by her beauty and grace. For hours, Cinderella danced with the prince, the world around them fading into oblivion as they twirled across the ballroom floor. But as the clock struck midnight, reality came crashing back. With a sense of urgency, Cinderella fled from the palace, leaving behind only a single glass slipper as a token of her presence. Determined to find his mysterious dance partner, the prince searched the kingdom, visiting every household in his quest. Cinderella's stepfamily, oblivious to her secret, eagerly tried to fit into the delicate slipper, but to no avail. It was only when the prince arrived at Cinderella's humble cottage that fate finally intervened. With bated breath, Cinderella slipped her foot into the glass slipper, and to the amazement of all, it fit perfectly. In that moment, the prince knew that he had found his true love, With Cinderella by his side, the prince declared her his bride, and the kingdom rejoiced in celebration. Cinderella forgave her stepfamily for their cruelty, choosing to embrace a future filled with love and happiness. And so, Cinderella and her prince lived happily ever after, their love enduring through trials and triumphs. As for her wicked stepmother and stepsisters, they were left to ponder the consequences of their jealousy and cruelty, while Cinderella's kindness and resilience shone brighter than ever before.